The words came from my husband's father, the CEO, but the smirk belonged to Naya, the woman sitting 2 seats down, pretending not to enjoy it. The boardroom fell silent. 23 faces. No one breathed. I felt the blood drain from my hands, but I smiled, just enough for him to notice. "Thank you," I said. He blinked, unsure if I'd heard him right, but I had, loud and clear. 5 minutes later, I stood, slid my ID card across the table, and turned toward the door. Then, one by one, chairs scraped against the floor. My team, 22 of them, stood and followed me out. Nia's smile faltered. The legal director's face turned white. "Get the lawyer," he whispered. And that was how it ended. Or rather, how it began. I met Daniel in the copy room 9 years ago. He laughed too easily, wore ambition like cologne, and promised me forever before the ink on his MBA dried. I believed him. I shouldn't have. He said we'd build the company together, that I'd handle operations while he handled charm. For years, we were unstoppable. I pulled 16-hour days. He pulled strings. The numbers climbed, the investors smiled, and the old man, the CEO, his father, started to see me as an asset, not as a daughter-in-law. That distinction would later matter. I should have noticed the shift when Daniel started saying "my company" instead of "our company." Should have noticed when Naya, the new marketing director, began finishing his sentences. But betrayal doesn't arrive like thunder. It seeps, quiet, patient, through cracks you swore were sealed. The first crack came with a misplaced email. It was addressed to Naya, but it came to me. An accident. A meeting invite titled "Transition Plan Confidential." The attachment was a spreadsheet. My position marked redundant. The next came in whispers. HR meetings I wasn't invited to. Budget reallocations I hadn't approved. Then, finally, the rumor that I'd been leaking company data to competitors. When I confronted Daniel, he didn't deny it. He didn't even flinch. "It's not personal," he said. "You're too emotional for leadership." That's when I stopped crying and started planning. Emotion is a liability. Data isn't. So I started collecting. Every deleted email, every time-stamped file, every budget discrepancy. I traced the trail, from the boardroom to Daniel's offshore account. Nia's too. It took 6 weeks. 6 weeks of playing dumb, smiling through meetings, pretending I hadn't seen the knife until I was holding the hilt. They were siphoning funds, small percentages hidden in inflated marketing budgets, layered through shell vendors. Smart, really. I might have admired it if it hadn't been mine. Then I called the legal director, quietly, privately. I didn't threaten. I simply showed him the data and asked a single question. "Would you like to be named as complicit or as counsel?" He chose wisely. The morning of the termination, I arrived early, brought coffee for everyone, smiled like a woman at peace. When Daniel's father walked in with HR, the papers were already printed. They thought they were firing me. In truth, they were documenting it, my wrongful termination. I made sure the cameras were rolling, the timestamps correct, the witnesses all in place. "Effective immediately," the old man said. I nodded. Of course. He slid a stack of papers across the table. I didn't touch them. I just leaned forward and said, "Before I go, you should probably call your lawyer." The words didn't register until the legal director, pale and shaking, whispered, "Sir, we have a problem." He opened the folder I'd sent him 30 minutes earlier, the audit trail, the evidence, the embezzlement. Nia's signature, Daniel's account, the entire web. The old man turned to Daniel, confusion hardening into disgust. "Tell me this isn't real." Daniel's silence said enough. The HR rep tried to speak. I cut her off. "My resignation letter's on your desk. So is the notice of legal action. You'll find the documentation thorough." Then I smiled. thank you for your time." When I walked out, the 22 people who'd worked under me stood. No one said a word. They just followed. Loyalty isn't bought, it's earned in quiet moments, in late nights and small kindnesses. Nia sneered, but her hand shook. Daniel tried to stop me, actually reached out. I didn't look back. The elevator doors closed between us like a final sentence. That was 6 months ago. The board forced Daniel and Nia to resign pending investigation. The company's stock dipped, then stabilized under new management. The old man sent a letter last month. Not an apology, a settlement offer. I declined. I started my own firm 2 weeks later. Most of my old team joined me. The clients followed. We're already profitable. Sometimes, late at night, I replay that boardroom scene. The way silence folded around my words, the exact